Brandon Steiner. I'm sitting here with Kelvin Joseph, and a lot of stuff going on at Steiner as we're going back and forth on some of the highs and lows of the year 2017.
Well, hold on, Brandon. Before we get into all of that, people don't even know what we do and how this thing started, man. You got to give them the history, man. Tell them the story, the real story.
Well, first of all, this is our 30th year, and a lot of ups and downs, a lot of different things have gone on. But really, we started Steiner and still maintain, athlete procurement, activating people's sponsorships. Back in the late 80s, there were a lot of athletes that had no marketing representation. Nobody knew how to get a hold of athletes. I'd be in a parking lot, literally in Giant Stadium or Yankee Stadium, waiting for players to come out, hoping to get their phone number, their home phone number, because there was no cell. That home phone number was golden. Or you were getting to know a lot of hotel operators when these guys were on the road, hoping that they weren't using an alias to get a hold of a guy to maybe find him work. But, it's interesting. I think, to fill yourself, you got to forget yourself.
Yeah.
And to me, my always instinct was to try to help the athletes. And at the time, they get all this fan mail. I helped them answer the fan mail. And they were really just trying to help their charities and really just helping get things going. A golf outing, something like that. And really just doing different appearances around the country. In 1990, 91, I did 2,000 or 3,000 appearances that year with players. And that's really how things got started. I mean, it was really just finding companies that had no idea that you can use athletes to create customer activity or do a PR campaign around or do a marketing stunt with one of the players or a theme of players. They had no idea because it was so hard to get a hold of them. Yeah. And I'd be outside waiting or in clubs, bars, anything I could do to get these phone numbers. Yeah. And then I would go to these companies and I'd say, hey, you want to grow your business? You want to do something different? You mean you can get me that athlete? And, they weren't as expensive back then as they are now, but they're hard to get a hold of. And that's kind of the business I set up. The first business with Steiner Marketing was really just marketing athletes, helping companies activate their sponsorships, helping a company at a trade show. Even today, trade shows are hot.
Yeah.
And having an athlete there so people don't rush by could be a huge help.
Yeah. Well, I've been seeing these event series around the country when people are trying to get millionaires in the room, trying to get real decision makers in the room. It's not old school where you could take somebody out for a steak dinner. They own restaurants. No one's going out to dinner with us.
Well, that's true. Athletes are a magnet. They definitely pull in and they're a draw. And a lot of times they can get high profile decision makers and their kids or family, which sometimes is even a bigger draw.
Yeah.
I mean, you may not be able to get me, but I know if my kid wants to go, my daughter wants to meet an athlete, you got me.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, it's also interesting right now how the business has changed. Going from like 3,000 appearances a year back in the 90s, it's a little different now. Now an athlete can do an appearance without leaving his living room.
Yeah.
The power of social media now, if we could figure out that athlete's social media base, who they're really attracted to and what their voice really is and what their authentic, the authentic customer base is, we now are helping athletes match up to companies that have similar bases.
Well,
by just doing a video, just doing a little tweet.
But back when you started, not a lot of people doing it. No internet, no cell phone. But now it seems like everybody and their mother thinks they could book athletes. Why come to Steiner? What do we got that's so good?
It's true. You can go to a lot of places to get an athlete, and you'd be lying if you didn't say that. But it's the analyzation and the understanding of the players. 30 years of knowing the players and what they're about and what their really, really core and spiritual part of them brings. Mm-hmm. So when you do get them, you know what you're getting. And that's, I think, what's gotten a little bit lost. Yeah, there's a lot of people that can go this and they can do that.
Yeah.
But do they really understand what the talent's about and what they can bring and how that talent can really get associated and be connected with your product? So it's not only a fit, but it's a really good fit.
Yeah.
So I think any relationship you have, it's okay, but when it's a good fit. We always talk about that when we're hiring people here.
Yeah.
It's not about filling the position. It's about having the person be able to fit the position, fit the company atmosphere that we have around here, which is a little crazy, I admit it. So it's not for everyone. It's the same thing with a company hiring an athlete.
Yeah.
Is it a good fit? And I think that people have lost that because some of these athletes have gotten so big. But when you diagnose it and break it down, and the work that we've done, when you think about it, the best work is when the company allows us to really go find the right fit. Find the player that loves potato chips.
Yeah.
That lives and dies. That's his favorite snack.
Yeah.
She loves chips. And all of a sudden she's talking about the chips, but it's authentic. She's lived and died. She's eaten every chip on the planet. Yeah. So when she's promoting it to our customer base, which is 1 million Twitter followings, she's talking about something she knows about, and she feels that she's passionate about it.
But you got to admit, the fact that we're spending $35 million a year, that gives us still some leverage. And the phone, they answer our calls pretty quickly on those. But really,
and being around 30 years, I mean, we have spent a lot of money with a lot of players, so that when we do call, they know it's real, and they know we know what we're doing, and that credibility does close the gap, and they also know we're coming back to them. It won't be a one-stop shop with a player. They know we're here today, and tomorrow, well, we'll be back tomorrow again.
Yeah.
And I think that helps with credibility in building a relationship quick. I think a lot of companies go and book a player and get a talent quickly. Right. By the time the relationship goes, the promotion's over. There's no sign when they're going to use them again. Yeah. We could bring an athlete in, the relationship's already rolling. Yeah. We could soften that whole initial stage up, and we can get right into the deep part of the relationship, which is what a company really needs, because the money sometimes is steep, and you need to get that relationship off on the right foot quickly.
But I think the other thing is that companies need to understand that we work for them. I mean, we're trying to make sure they're good. And a lot of times people who, they might work for the athlete, and that's their primary focus. Our focus is our clients and making sure they're good.
Some agents do a better job than others, but listen, the primary function of a player's agent is to protect the player and do the right thing for the player. We're playing both sides. We have a great relationship with the agents and players, but also our primary focus is on the company and understanding their needs, and we're not beholden to use one player over another. Right. And that's the advantage, where a company may not want to go through the wear and tear to go through a bunch of different players to find the perfect one. They may not know to go through that. And we will. We do know that. We've spent hours and hours with a lot of these players to know what you're about to get. Right. So when the box gets opened up and the player pops up, you know what you're getting. It's not a surprise.
Yeah. So one of the things that we're growing so fast, because this is obviously something that corporations need, and we're gonna hire a couple people. And I know you always say, and I agree with you, they got to have trust. We got to be able to trust them. They got to be loyal. They got to be teachable. What else does somebody have to have, that secret sauce, to be with us here at Steiner Sports?
Well, first of all, we got to be able to hang out with them in the airport if the plane gets delayed 4 or 5 hours. If I'm interviewing you and I get stuck in the airport with you for 4 or 5 hours, is what I'm thinking. Am I going to have a nervous breakdown, or be embarrassed, or just not know what to do? I kid around about it, but do you have that kind of attitude where you can take anything and make it into something? It's certainly a Steiner characteristic. I think the second thing is energy, enthusiasm. We like to see a lot of energy and enthusiasm because there is a lot of twists and turns in this business, and in our company is a lot of differentiators. I mean, there's a lot of things that are just different. Not much is the same here. That's kind of our mantra. We don't want to do the same thing over. Every company is special. Every company is a little different. So energy, enthusiasm. I also say fat. Faithful, available. Are you really available? Are you teachable? Faithful, available, teachable. And then I add in flexibility. I mean, everybody says, yeah, I'm good. But are you really flexible? Can you travel? Are you willing to work the weekends? Are you willing to do whatever it takes to win? Yeah. And, it's hard to find those kind of people. But, a lot of people say they want to get in the sports business. A lot of people like the sports business, but I don't know if they want to do the things that enable you to either get in or stay in the sports business.
Everybody wants to be happy. That's what everybody wants. It doesn't matter how much money they have or what they're doing. They want to be happy, and sports makes people happy. That's why they want to get in the industry. But it's real work here. It's real work, and it's not as sexy as it always looks.
What I love about him, and I'm not going to bullshit you. I mean, what I love about you is that, look, you're a CPA, you're our CFO, and you did a great job with our accounting. But 2 years ago, you came to me, you wanted to get into the marketing stuff. And literally, what I love is you went back junior status.
Yeah.
You went back to school. I mean, you didn't know a whole lot about marketing and that part of the business. I mean, you weren't oblivious to it, but you were an accounting person, which is a very highly important person here. You had a great job here and could have done that job for a long time, but you disrupted it, blew it up, and now we're running corporate marketing. And that's, I think, a lot of the attitude you need to survive in here. Like, you're willing to go back to grade school. Yeah. A lot of people I run into that are a little bit older, they want the transition, they want the change, but they're not willing to go back to square one. They want to make the same amount of money, they want to have the same level of status, but yet they have no experience or knowledge to go do it. But if you remember, you went back to when you were 19. You were working weekends, you were working nights, you're in my office asking me a gazillion questions every day. You went back to being a junior stats, like a kid that came right out of college. Even though you're a CPA or as our CFO, you went back to becoming like a student again. And that's where I think people have. I think that people have the. That's where the rub is. You want to get in this thing, but Are you willing to do the things that enable you to get in this thing and stay in this thing? And that comes with a lot of trials and tribulations, and it has nothing to do.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. But it's a relationship business. I appreciate the relationship with you. It's been great. I mean, it's all about learning, though, right? If you're not learning, it's like you're dying. I almost feel that way.
Well, learners are earners, and you know you gotta make sure you gotta have a book open or a mentor, or you gotta be, especially with sports where things are just changing. I mean, I know I've been doing this 30 years, but I cannot believe how little now all of a sudden I know, and how much catching up I've got to do.
Yeah.
With the way athletes are now being marketed, the way teams are now marketing themselves, and sponsors now activate with teams is just different than when we first got into it.
Yeah.
And you've got to stay on top of it, which is something we're destined and committed to doing. And that's what I love about Steiner, is that we're not going to stay status quo. We're not going to say, well, this is how we used to do it for years. I mean, screw that. We're breaking it. If it's not broke, we're still breaking it. And that's why I think the companies are now appreciating us, because we're coming at them with a different pitch, a different view.
Well,
It's fun, man. It's fun.
But I'm seeing a lot of things, like a lot of trends, where I'm seeing a lot of companies, they're either raising money or they need to grow their sales. And then when I look at like how you're going to grow your sales, you either need to add more value to your current customers or clients. You can't just charge them more. You got to add more value, or you got to get more customers or clients. And we can help. We use sports to help with that.
Sports can be a really solid little binder there that can bring people together and get people thinking differently. And if used correctly, especially with companies that have nothing to do with sports, that's a little bit of the misunderstanding.
Yeah.
You don't have to be a sports kind of company or have any kind of connection. What you need to have is the ability to use sports as kind of a kind of a fit. To just get on an even basis with your customer. Just somehow be able to reach out to your customer and be able to kind of use sports to do that.
Yeah.
Once you get your foot in the door, it still comes down to service, quality, price. And we just want to put you in a position to do that.
Yeah.
But, it's complicated these days. There's a lot of competition, a lot of transparency, and you need that little edge. And I think sometimes using the athlete in sports gives you that little edge. You can't circumvent the excitement around sports.
Yeah.
It's gotten pretty big.
I feel like we're not even really selling sports. We're like selling happiness. And, what are people happy about? I mean, they turn on a game and it gives them a little escape from maybe some of the things they don't want to deal with. And that's what it really is. Everybody wants to be happy, and that's the common denominator where sports delivers that. And then it's a way to grow. It's a way for companies to grow.
I remember we were trying to find a spokesman for prostate disease. It was first coming out. No one wanted to touch it. It was even worse than when they first came out with Viagra, and they were looking for a spokesperson, which we did look for a year. Nothing. Nobody wanted to do it. So Rafael Palmeiro finally agreed to do it. Then he opted out. But now it's like, but it's like, I mean, so we were trying. Imagine calling up players and say, hey, do you have a prostate problem? I mean, not easy.
Yeah.
But we found Johnny Unitas. I remember we went out there and we went somewhere in the boondocks in Maryland to find Johnny. And I said, Johnny, you're staying up nights, you're urinating often. And he goes, I don't know why you guys say, I don't have a problem. I said, Johnny, you're up 4 or 5 times a night. And finally he said, yeah, I do have a problem. I said, exactly. And, we dug that out. I mean, that took weeks to find Johnny. Just the fact that, to talk about it, we had to call hundreds of players. But think about the good that we did with that particular program as it really got things started, because a whole series of players got on board. And now, think about where prostate disease is now over the last 10 years as far as catching it early protection, the medicines and all the things. Mm-hmm. It's amazing. And you're hoping for some of the other pharmaceutical stuff that we've done with high blood pressure and heart problems and kidney problems, and some of the meds we've done where, everybody's stubborn. Nobody wants to go to the doctor. We used athletes to go. It's been a big part of like what Steiner's done over the last 20 years. And I see us now being able to do that a lot with social media.
Right.
We have a big social media following here that we're able to add on to the corporate connection that we have. So not only are we tying in with the athletes' corporate social media, we're tying in with the corporate social media, and then we add our own social media to make it.
It gives it a good push. Yeah.
Well, it makes it. You talk about our differences. Yeah, you can go to anybody to go book a player or activate, but are they bringing hundreds of thousands of viewers to help you push what you're pushing? Because we are, and then we're making sure we use the athletes or the celebrity that we're going to hire, their social media as well, the right way.
Because even sometimes, like after an event, the post just letting people know what happened at this event is good too. You could get a good lift off of that as well. One of the things that I've been focusing on, and I've been putting it in my pitches when I talk to people, is that if you have 50 prospects and you're a really good salesman and you can meet with 2 of them a week, that's going to take you 25 weeks. If we can get them 50 prospects in a room on one day, that has to have a value. It has the value of 25 weeks of your time.
And this is where the suite comes in.
Yeah.
And we do a suite at some of the ballparks differently than anybody else does a suite. Or just sending a ball. Hey, looking forward to getting the ball rolling with you. Or a bat. Want to hit a home run with you. I got some good ideas. Would you give me 5 minutes? Or I just sometimes send a hockey puck. We have the same goals in common. Let me share some of those. Let me share some of my insights on helping you achieve your goals. We send a hockey puck if we know that it's a hockey person that loves hockey. Or sometimes he or she has a son or a daughter that's into that particular sport.
Yeah.
Or I'd send them some boxing gloves. Hey, listen, I'm going to knock this out of the park for you.
Yeah.
Let me get a shot at pitching you on my banking services or my financial services. So I think sometimes you use, and that's how the collectible thing started, was really just to support the corporate ideas of getting the door open, getting a meeting. I never go to a charity event without an athlete at my table.
Yeah.
So I can not only entertain the 9 people that are bored out of their minds at the charity event, but also so I can meet the 300 people at the event. I know if the athlete's at my table, that celebrity, everybody at the event is going to want to come over. And that's a great way of networking and meeting new people. And the person running that event is loving me for bringing the athlete, making the event a little bit better. So there's a triple win, trifecta, as opposed to going to a charity event, which you're going, no, another charity event, I have to go. No. You're going to entertain those 9. They're going to love you for inviting them because they got to know this celebrity. Meet everybody at the event. And then on top of it, you've done the right thing. You've helped that event become a little better for a good cause.
You're doing
That's
that
a trifecta.
You're doing that at a charity event or golf outing, same exact formula.
Yeah, that's the stuff like we do at Steiner that's a little different. Yeah, I mean, listen, you can always find a company that's going to put your name on the ice, put a sign in the outfield, and we'll help you do that. But at the end, those are the little ideas that put a pen in your salesperson's hand or get you the meeting instead of waiting months and months. We'll get you that meeting. And that's what I love about Steiner. I just love driving business. I love helping people make money or help people build relationships in a very unorthodox, unusual way.
Yeah, one of my favorite clients is Oracle plus NetSuite. They figured it out. They figured out that no one really wants to talk about accounting systems, ERP systems. No one wants to really talk about that. Even if they need it, they don't want to talk about it. They don't want to spend their time after work going to hang out with you to talk about it either. But the reality of it is, you can get them to do that how they did it is every town has a hero. So if they're in Atlanta with Dominique Wilkins, it's easier to get somebody to come.
Talk a little basketball, have a little fun, break down the Hawks.
Yeah.
Every sports is a sports town.
I'm saying
every town's a sports
You
town.
got Dr. J in Philly. You're in San Francisco with Jerry West, Luke Walton in L.A. You're up in Boston with Paul Pierce. I mean, at the end of the day, what gets people out of bed?
But does that get them results? When you've done that, have they found the results? Have the people showed up?
Every time. Every time they have 100 C-level executives from that town in the room.
What scares me is there's so many companies that think because they're not a sports business or sports-related business that that's not a fit for them, but it really is. Because even if it's not a fit for your exact customer, if it's a fit for the customer's child or brother, if I can go take my kid or a brother or sibling somewhere that they normally can't go to, I become the brother of the year. I become the dad of the year. And that carries a lot of weight.
Yeah. But the other piece of it is that sometimes you already have the client and you want to build a relationship or keep the relationship with the client, but they feel like they're already giving you the business. They don't need to hang out with you. So Rockland Trust, one of the things that they did is all their clients are millionaires. It's a good problem to have. But if all your clients are millionaires,
hard to get them out.
Hard to keep the relationship.
How
to build a relationship.
Hard to get them on the phone.
Yeah. So
they're busy.
So what we did is we went up to Boston with Paul Pierce and Jason Tatum. So they got the young guy and they got the veteran right before they're going to retire his number this year. And it's just an amazing thing.
Got the Kansas connection, the Duke connection, Celtic connection. There's a lot of underlying connections besides the obvious.
150 millionaires showed. What?
Bam.
What? Sports.
Bam.
That's it. That's a win. So I mean, I'm having a lot of fun with this. I'm glad that I had the foresight to say, hey, Brandon, I need to do
I was
something
going to say the
different.
balls.
The balls, yeah.
You got to
I
have
guess you could say
balls.
that. Gotta have it.
Anyway, it's great. We're growing. Listen, we're growing. We love you to help us grow it. If you're interested in working with us, please, we'd love to work with you. Think about it. If you want to do something a little untraditional, well, we're the right place. If you want to just do something the way they've been doing it for years, we're probably not the place for you to go to.
Steiner Sports, using the power of sports to grow your business. Let's go.